Why do we worship through Vigrahas, murtis in temples? Even in our houses, we have murtis. We worship them. What is the devotional or a spiritual meaning behind all this? We will try to find answers. First and foremost, all human interaction is carried out through symbols. To represent a quantity of something, we use symbols called numbers. To articulate and communicate ideas, we use symbols known as words. To transmit words to others in a graphic manner, we use symbology of letters of the alphabets. The same way in Hindu faith, in Sanatan Dharma, we have the so called icon worship. Westerners call it idol worship, which is demeaning and insulting. It is the right word if at all somebody wants to call our worshipping gods, they should use the word icon. Though icon is also a Greek word which is defined as an image or representation of a religious figure. So, whichever is concerned with this is called iconology or Silpa Sastra. Everything is connected with Hindu icon has a symbolic meaning. The Vigrahas, the posture, the gestures, the ornaments, the number of arms, weapons, vehicle, concerts, and associate deities. Everything. The iconic symbols are explained in the various Puranas in Sri Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana. One can see the examples of icon worship, the Vigraha Vazhipadu. One of the most prominent tools of devotion in Hinduism is the use of these images. These images are icons. They are made of either wood, stone, metal, or even painted on a cloth. The term generally used by non Hindus, unfortunately, by Hindus themselves also, when referring to these sacred images as idol. The term is actually a demeaning, insulting word. First used by Christian missionaries who perceived Hinduism as an extremely negative way. They started describing us as pagans, heathens, idolaters. The use of images is also predominant among the Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians who refer to sacred images as icons to differentiate them from the idols of the so called heathens. An icon can be defined as a sacred symbol which embodies a spiritual truth and is worthy of veneration and contemplation. So let us understand what are those symbols. The symbols do not speak to the rational mind and cannot be fully understood by logic. The symbols are the subject of contemplation, worship, assimilation, inner experience, and ultimate spiritual realization. Symbols are the esoteric language of the unconscious mind. The Upanishads prescribe many techniques for spiritual advancement, but the most prominent of them is upasana. Upasana, upha plus asana, literally means sitting near and refers to the act of meditation. The term upasana can be translated as worship, contemplation, devotion, the making of offerings, etc. The icons, the vigrahas, are primarily used for the practice of upasana. How is this doctrine of Upasana justified? Let us see that. According to our faith, God is omnipresent, that is, all pervading, omniscient, all knowing, and omnipotent, all powerful. The entire creation is pervaded by the Godhead. We all agree to this. There is no place or thing in this universe which is devoid of the presence of God. So, naturally, it follows that the Godhead is also present in the icon, that is a Vigraha. When the icon is properly consecrated according to the prescribed rites of Vedas, God is implored to be especially present in the icon, in the Vigraham. Out of compassion, out of love, he comes into this Vigraham. And we in turn may also love and adore him or her goddesses. So, secondly, God is the inner witness who knows our every thought and emotion. And scriptures of Vedas tells us that God always responds to our devotion. So God, with a small fraction of his limitless being, takes up residence in a consecrated icon in a very special, specific way. And because by the definition God is omnipotent, all powerful, this empowering of the icon is certainly no great effort on his part. He can always be present. So the icon, the Vigraha, is no longer regarded merely as a symbolic, but as a murthy, which means materialization or embodiment of the divine. Nakarupam vinadhyatum kenabi sakyatet sarvarupa nivrtathi buddhir kutrasya dhishtati निवृत्तग्लायते बुद्धिर् निद्रायव परीयते तस्मात् विद्वान् उपासित बुद्धयः सकरम् इवतम् अस्ति तस्य परोक्षं तत् इति किञ्चित् अनुस्मरेत् सर्वत्र अकरम् उत्तिष्ठं न पर्यायात् पंडितः. Without a form, can God be meditated upon? If he is completely formless, where will the mind fix itself? When there is nothing for the mind to attach itself to it, the mind will slip away from meditation, or the mind will glide into a state of slumber. Therefore, the wise will meditate on some form. Nirkare tu devasena arkanam sambhave runam nakadhyanam naka sostram tasmat sakaram arkayet. Paramasamhita says it is impossible for a human being to worship, meditate, or praise a deity without the form. Therefore, in Sanatan Dharma, the god should be worshipped through an icon, Vigraha. The descent of the Lord to the permanent iconic abode is due to his divine initiative alone for bestowing grace and blessing upon the devotees. The God himself comes into that Vigraha. This is Parama Samhita, Vishnu Samhita. All the Vedas strongly prescribe worship through icons.